Across 5 counties in northeastern New Mexico, Springer Electric Cooperative is showing its concern for community during this viral pandemic. In this series, we're learning more about how cooperatives, like Springer, are responding to the crisis while making sure vital electricity is something their members can count on.
Joining this video call is David Spradlin. He is CEO of Springer Electric. So David, can you tell us a bit about how the pandemic is impacting your area so far?
Sure, Bazi. So at this point, we've only had a few confirmed cases in the area that we serve. So, from a virus standpoint, it's not having a huge effect. There's definitely a big economic impact. And for example, we've seen our residential non-payments go up. They at the very first, it was about 3 times what we would normally have. But I'll give my consumers credit. Once my members got their stimulus checks from the government, their first instinct was to pay their utility bill. And so we've seen that number actually come down. From the economic standpoint, probably the biggest effect on us has been for the oil and gas industry, which we serve a lot of. There's been a lot of shutdown. I've had 2 of my largest loads basically shut their operations off. And that's due to the economics of the oil industry right now with the price getting hammered like it's been hammered, and also from the drop in demand due to COVID and people not traveling. So they kind of got the double whammy. So that's having a huge economic impact on the co-op, but also it'll have a long-term economic impact on the state because the state's budget is really highly dependent on oil and gas revenue. So when those guys shut down, state budget goes down, which eventually trickles down to our communities through funding for whether it's projects, infrastructure projects, education, those type things. So those will be the long-term economic impacts of this.
David, you've obviously had to make a number of changes to how your employees are working in order to protect them. So how is that going?
So, Bazi, it's going very well. I think our employees have responded very well to that. We've done typical things that most co-ops have done, locking the front door to block public access, to, contain that, talk to our crews about social distancing when they're gathering in the lineman's office, don't do that. I think some of the interesting effects of this have been on the communication. I think actually we've improved our communication within the company because of this pandemic. And since we can't get together as a big group in a room like we normally do, we've had to use other means to do that. So we've developed the email list for every employee, text messaging, strings, all those kinds of things to really communicate to the employees what is important, what we're doing to change our operation this week, the things that will make them feel comfortable that we are protecting them during this pandemic. And so that's what we've done on the communication side. Another aspect of that is that since the governor's order did say that we are an essential service, we really wanted to highlight that to the employees. Our employees have been able to do their jobs and perform their jobs. And I think the biggest part is that they now understand how essential that they are. And I think that's a great thing for them, just that constant reminder that, yes, they are important to the communities that we serve. So there have been some positive things that have come out of this.
As you well know, concern for community is one of the cooperative principles. How has that played into your response?
So in probably 3 different ways I'll touch on. The first is hand sanitizer. That was a really scarce commodity when this crisis first began. So we really put together a program to try and get hand sanitizer. We had one co-op that found some hand sanitizer from a distillery in Kansas. And so all the co-ops in New Mexico got together and did a bulk purchase. And then we found a way to get that delivered by driving it to a central location, which happened to be my co-op. After that was done, Tri-State and our statewide association decided it might be a good idea to go ahead and order a big bulk hand sanitizer from the same distillery. And so what we're doing with that is we've each got some extra hand sanitizer. And so we're offering it up to our local first responders and those who who are going to be on the front lines. The second thing that we've done is we're ordering lunches from the restaurants that are staying open, just to keep them, keep them going concerns, keep them up and going, hoping we can help sustain them through this pandemic. So we're doing that. The third thing that we're doing is with the school graduations, which are not going to happen because of the restrictions on sizes of gatherings. A couple of schools in our service area have produced big banners that have the pictures of their high school seniors on them. And so we're working with those schools to actually hang those banners on our poles within those towns, so that the schools can organize some event around seeing those banners, and also with visitors just driving through, they'll see the banners of our high school seniors. And, we're proud of those kids. They've accomplished something and they deserve something. So we were very happy to help with figuring out how to get those banners hung up on our poles. And so those are the three things that we've kind of done with our communities here.
Definitely, those are all great ideas. David Spradlin is CEO of Springer Electric. David, thanks for your time today.
Absolutely. My pleasure.